We're almost done with all the rust on the 280Z project, so let's keep pushing and get the last little bits done. What's going on, everybody? It's Brian back with Block Garage, and we're going to be doing some more work on the 280Z today. So last video we got a ton of rust work done. We got basically everything done on the passenger side. The front of the rocker panel here, the rear of the rocker panel with some work in behind. We had to custom make some stuff. And the rear quarter panel here, which we also had to make a big panel to go on the inside. That took care of a lot of rust, and we really don't have much left. The only panel we have left from Classic Fab is this hatch slam panel where the hatch sits down on the back above the taillights. But I don't want to do that today, so we'll find something else to do. For anybody else that hasn't been keeping up, this is my 1978 Datsun 280Z. Picked this up last October, 5-ish months ago, something like that. Thought I was just gonna have a little bit of rust repair to do. I knew the floor was soft. I knew we had some paint bubbling in a couple spots. It turned into a way bigger deal than that. We've put new floor pans in on both sides, custom built frame rails. If you can see over there, we had to fully replace the firewall over there, which that was all custom because I didn't realize I was gonna have to do that when we started. What else have we done? We've added these bars on, not that that has anything to do with rust repair, but that strengthens up the front end. So, you know, keeps the flex out up front when hard cornering, braking, all that stuff. We replaced this panel here. We built this rotisserie. So this rotisserie I hand built back towards the beginning. Once I realized how much rust there was on this car, I didn't want to have to lay on my back doing this. So we got that done. It's been a huge help. I got videos up on that if anybody's interested in how it's built, but it's very simple. What a lot of people will do when they're building them is just grab a couple of engine stands from Harbor Freight or something, some cheap ones, and build your framework off of there to get it to attach to the car. I had some scrap metal and had to buy some, but just built the whole thing myself. It was, I don't know if I spent a couple $100 on it, to be honest. So it's been a huge help on this thing. So if you don't know the plans with this car, it is going to be 2JZ swapped. I've got it sitting on the engine stand right there. My Nissan CD09 transmission is right underneath it. We've already put the Fish Racing bell housing adapter on so that the CD09 and the 2JZ can fit together. So that's all ready to go. We really just need to finish up the major rust repair on the 280Z so we can put it back down on the ground and start that 2JZ swap. I'm not planning on fully finishing the body before we start on that because I don't know exactly what I'm going to need to do for fabrication. From what I have read is I don't need to do anything with the transmission tunnel itself to fit that CD09 in, although it's a much larger transmission. I do need to take out some supports underneath there, which we get to. We might do that today. But yeah, I'm gonna get the car running and driving before we pull it all back apart, fully finish all the body work, paint, you know, undercoat and all that stuff, because I don't want to have to modify stuff after it's been painted. And we do got other stuff to do. You know, it had a sunroof in it. It's not getting a sunroof again. So I'm gonna have to fill that hole in. You know, we got minor little stuff that needs to be cleaned up in the interior. I'm gonna have to do some repair when we take these back out, just because I have them welded right onto the car. I don't know, I'm trying to think what else we got. There really isn't a ton left to do before we can put it back down on the ground. I am waiting for some parts to arrive that have to do with the swap and putting the car on the ground technically. Anyways, let's get moving on. So I think the first thing we're gonna do today is look at this panel right here. So you got this little panel that looks like it's just welded on top of the sheet metal here. I don't know, maybe Nissan thought it needed some strengthening there. I'm not sure what it's for. But you can see right here, it's got holes in it. So we need to pop it off. There could be rot in behind it too. I'm hoping not, and I'm hoping it'll just clean up and we just need to make a new trapezoid shaped panel right here, pop it back in. But if not, you know, we've done plenty of other custom rust repair. Should be pretty easy to do, although every time I say that, it turns into a whole huge project. But anyways, let's get this piece cut off and see what we got to work with. All right, so I cleaned it up real quick just so we could find where all these spot welds are. As you can see, we got a bunch on here. So now we'll go drill those out and pop that panel off. So if you guys can see, this piece actually comes down and 90 degrees out to sit on this lip. And there's some spot welds on here. I don't think I'd be able to get in there very effectively with my spot weld cutter. So I think I'm just gonna go like this, cut them down, and should be able to pop that right out. Mr. Spot Weld. She's definitely crusty underneath there. I think my best course of action is probably, let's clean this up and see just how pitted the metal is, and we'll go from there. Well, I think it's safe to say we got to do more than just replace that outer panel. Take a look here. There's quite a bit of pitting and holes in it. I didn't even end up getting all the rust off just because there's no point at this point. It definitely has to be cut out. Now, we don't want to cut out too much because if we go up above here-ish, this is the panel on the inside of the firewall. My top of my frame rail sits right about there. So we'll probably cut out somewhere down around here to down here, all the way up. I don't know how far up I'll go because it's actually not too bad up there, but man, I don't know why they'd put that panel there, because all it does is cause rust to form in between it. That probably would have been just fine, you know, maybe light surface rust, but the rest of this is absolutely perfect in behind this undercoating. So I don't know, just stupid thing that Nissan did. I'm honestly not seeing the point in having that there unless they wanted a little bit of strength, because this is where the rear arm of the suspension goes. But there's got to be a better solution than just slapping on another piece of sheet metal and seam sealing and hoping it doesn't rust, because you know that obviously trapped a lot of water and everything in behind there. But let's get that cut out and see if there's any other issues. Well, I'm very happy to see how it looks inside. Light surface rust right around there. Other than that, very clean. So before we put that back together, we'll just get some rust encapsulator on it. I am going to be using some of Eastwood's internal frame coating, which is basically, it comes in a spray can. It's got a long hose on it with a 360-degree nozzle on it. You just shove it inside, you know, through a hole. We got some up here, like that plug will come out. Basically just shove it inside there, spray, and slowly pull it out. It'll coat the inside of everything. That we can do once the car's already together and everything. You know, not finished, but once I've made all the repairs, we'll go through and coat the inside of everything that we can get to. That way, hopefully prevent rust for as long as I need the car for. So anyways, let's go start making our replacement panel right here. So that's gonna fit in there just about like that. Definitely gonna have to do some trimming, but if you look, right about here, it curves down. I could have made this in a couple different pieces. Decided I'm gonna try and do it all as one. So I don't know if it's gonna work, but we're gonna try our stretcher, you know, that stretching tool that we got from Harbor Freight, right here on this thicker part of metal. Honestly, I have no idea if this is gonna work. It might not work at all. We might have to cut this and do this in a couple pieces, but we're gonna try it. I'm gonna try to bend this down around here and keep this all one panel to minimize our welding and grinding. Yeah, that's not working at all. I mean, it did put a slight bend in it. I'm just gonna put a slice right here. It'll fold over. We'll fill it back in. Whatever, I've done plenty of welding and cutting on this thing already. What's a little bit more? And actually, I think I'm gonna do one more slice right about here because it kind of curves around, not just bends right there. Let me go trim right about there, and I'll be right back. There we go, fits pretty well. Obviously, we're gonna have to fill these cuts in. I intentionally made it a little bigger than my piece I cut out, so I didn't want any gaps, you know. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trim this piece on the ends just so I don't cut any further out that way. Get it fitting, and then we'll probably just make a line up around here and cut some more old sheet metal out, because I do have, oh yeah, I got plenty of room there to trim a little more off. Be easier than just trying to trim this and trim this and trim this until it fits and end up cutting too much, and you know what usually happens. Here we go, got it nice and trimmed to length. So like I said, we're just gonna trace along the outside here and trim the car sheet metal, get rid of some more of the old stuff. And actually, we don't have that much to trim. I forgot to hit record, but I got it tacked in all the way around up here. Now I'm going to clamp it down to the lip right here, get the panel exactly where I need it, and we will weld in our plug welds along here. All right, let's get this welded in. Gonna do our normal tack, hit it with air, tack, hit it with air, spread all around. Try not to get a ton of warpage, although this part is never gonna be seen. It's hidden behind the fender, behind the inner fender lining, and there's a plate that goes over it. So, you know, I still don't wanna warp everything and make it look terrible or not be close to how it was before, but it's really not that important. And I'm gonna have to do some massaging as we go because this panel is nowhere near straight. That's just how it is from the factory. I've already bent this piece a little bit here and there to get it to fit. We're gonna have to do a little more there. I just want to get some welds in, you know, more welds in around here, and then we'll tap that into place. But the other panel was quite warped. It had a lot of different bends in it. I'm not gonna bother with that because it doesn't matter. Yeah, let's get this welded in. Alright, got that all welded in. Wasn't too hard. I just ended up filling in the gaps here. Just, if you ever have to do it, you just kind of weld, which you should be on all this anyway, weld to the side of your previous spot weld, and you can slowly work your way down. It's not too hard, as long as you don't have a humongous gap. It'll be fine. So now we gotta grind this down. get it all ready to go. I think I might throw in a couple welds along here just to stiffen this up, because we're gonna be stitch welding the car anyway, so you know, stuff like that's gonna be done all over the place. Might as well do it here while we're here. But I'm wondering if maybe instead of putting that panel back on the outside, which is almost exactly the same as what we just cut out, I think it goes up here and maybe down here a little bit. I'm gonna look up and see where else it's common to stiffen these chassis. You know, I've already done this here, this bar. We've done the frame rails, which now connect into the rear frame. And I don't know, there's gotta be more places that people commonly stiffen these up. And since I'm doing all this, I might as well do it before we finish the car, and wish we had done it. So, you know, just a thought I'm having right now is maybe get a piece of like 1/8 inch plate and go right into the back of the firewall here, weld it right to the firewall, and up here maybe, just to get this even stronger than this, because this, you got the rear arm for the suspension right here, so there's obviously some force here, and I'm assuming that's why Nissan strengthened that a little bit with that tiny piece of plate that caused all this rust. I don't know, I'll go look it up. We'll see what else people commonly do, like I said, but for now, let's get this ground down. All right, we got this all smoothed out, looking nice. Now we gotta make this piece here, the reinforcement little panel that goes on the outside. Like I just mentioned before this, I was gonna see if there was something else I should do to reinforce this. I did some research and I actually found some really good ideas for places that I wanna reinforce this chassis before we finish up and, you know, get the car all done and on the road and everything. But as far as this spot here, I had forgotten. I've already got something coming that's gonna reinforce this. Some other parts that I ordered. Just so happens that one of their functions is to reinforce this whole area right here. Anyways, yeah, we need to make this piece here. It's just a flat piece of sheet metal, basic trapezoid shape. It actually, just like the other one, it does bend out down here to give a little reinforcement on this lip. So I might as well make that. Basically the same thing we just did though. It's almost the exact same shape because this piece here is what caused all the rust. So let's go make this piece up real quick and we can get it welded in. All right, got it all done. It's all smoothed out, everything. Good to go. We're done with this side. So because of how much rust was actually behind this panel, even though the only spot that was showing was like right here, I think we need to pull the other side apart. So let's go check the other side out real quick. All right, yeah, this side, I mean, it looks nice, but with the amount of rust that we found behind that panel on the other side, I don't want to risk it. We already know it can be an issue, so I'm gonna pop this off here. If there's not anything that needs to be fixed, I'm not gonna fix it, but most likely there is. I am 90% sure that there's gonna be rust in between there. So I'm not gonna bore you guys with doing the exact same thing again in the same video. So I'm gonna spend many hours popping this out, fixing the rust, putting it back together. For you guys, it should be instant. If I run into anything that I want to show you, I will, but let's just zoom ahead and you can see the finished product. There we go, 100% done. Just as good as the other side. So I'm glad I pulled this side off too. You know, it looked good just looking at it from the outside, but once we peeled it off, there was definitely some rot behind there. I'll throw up a clip right now of what it looked like. It wasn't nearly as bad as the driver's side, but there was still some rot through, and eventually it would have come through here. So definitely happy to take care of that now while we get the car up on the rotisserie, not, you know, a couple years from now when it's going to be a lot more of a pain. So we got both sides done. Getting to the end of the rust, like I keep saying in every video, but it is really getting close to the end now. I got some parts coming that we're going to be working on soon, and I think it'll be very exciting to get those installed. There'll be a huge step in improving this car from what it was original. Plus, we do need it for the 2JZ swap. So, yeah, that'll be coming up soon, hopefully. I believe I'll be getting them week and a half from now, according to what the company says. So, yeah, look forward to that. But that's going to do it for this video. Leave me some comments or anything. Let me know what you guys are working on. Anything you'd like to see on the car, let me know. Hit the subscribe button. Yeah, I'll see you in the next video.